again. I don't know where I am now. I'm lost in time and space because this is meant to be next week's video. But I've only just recorded this week's video. Or is this week after next video? I really don't know. This is part of my haul from the range from a couple of weeks back. And we've got a travel acrylic paint set. Not really sure I would try to travel and paint with acrylic paint, but anyway, it was $3.99, so it went in the bag. And to go with that, this does come with some paper actually, but to go with that we got some mixed media paper, because the intention was for all of this haul to be a giveaway anyway, so I figured that we'd include some mixed media paper. Seemed fair. So let's have a look at what's it. Let's put that to one side actually. All of my avalanche piles are a little bit on the dodgy side now. There may be a big crash. So let's have a look at what you get in it. This did come in a cellophane bag, but I took it off because it's annoying. So we've got this folder with an elastic to keep it shut. That does mean that the paint tubes inside are a little bit squished. We have 2 brushes. They look a bit meh. Particularly meh is the choice. I mean, they're all right. They're quite springy. But my meh is that these are both flats, and yeah, you'd think you'd put in a flat and a round maybe. But anyway, we've got some paper. There is no information about what kind of paper this is. It has a sort of a canvasy texture on it. I very much doubt that the camera's picking that up. But it doesn't. It comes with a little clip, so it is just paper, it's not a pad. And we have a little plastic mixing palette. Obviously I'm going to moan about this being plastic, but you know, what do you expect for $3.99? Doesn't look like the set's going to fall apart at any minute. You don't get a huge amount of paint. What have we got? Yellow, orange, red, green, blue and brown. No black. And no white. Yeah. Anyway. Let's give it a whirl, shall we? Let's just take everything out of this set, because that's not really very convenient to use. It might be fine for storing it in, but we'll pop that on another avalanche pile. This is wobbling precariously. I will go with the brushes provided first. Let's just take one piece off this stack. Yeah, this has got a canvasy texture on one side and it's a bit smoother on the other. This does actually feel like, I don't know, I assume it is just paper. I imagine it's special. We'll just have a little swatch out of what you get with the brushes included. I don't really have any rants for you or any serious waffling, because I've used it all up in the previous video. Normally I need a whole week to, you know, build up to it. Let's have a look. Burnt umber, we get 6mm of each of these paints, so oh, they are sealed. It is a really long time since I've done any acrylic painting. I used to do a fair bit, including some quite large pieces. I'm going to try and dig that out of there, because we only get 6mm of this paint and there's about 2mm of it in the cap now. So I think I'll use that to swatch out on this piece of paper. Yeah, I don't know if that texture is going to show up. We've just changed the colour. That's very thin. I don't know if I've got any acrylic to hand to compare against, like any decent. That's very, very thin. Right, that's got all that out of the cap. We can put that cap back on. I suspect this is going to dry on the palette really quickly as well, because it is so thin, so I shall try and get a wiggle on. I don't know what I'd attempt to paint with these brushes, really, because they are quite scratchy. And you definitely wouldn't, because they're just bare wood handles. Definitely do not leave them sitting in the water, because they will absorb that and blow the ferrule really quickly. Right, blue. Don't know why we started with brown, we just did. Oh, there's not really any pigment in there. It's also really difficult to lay it down thickly on the paper because the brushes are so springy that they are just lifting it straight back off again. Let's have a look at another colour. Yellow. Nope, you actually do need to... You need to open the tube first. Dear. And that's all in the lid again. If these are rubbish, I'm not putting them in the giveaway either. I'll put them where bad art materials go, in the bin. But hopefully they're not completely rubbish. Well, that one seems to have plenty of pigment in it, but again, I'll try in a minute with a better brush. In fact, I might try that now. We've seen what the rubbish brush does. Because acrylic's difficult to rinse out of the brushes, it's so tempting to leave it sat in the water for a bit. But that will not be good for it. Nope, not that. Let's try one of these. These are for, we've got a smaller one, that's a bit big. There we go, there's a smaller one. These are my Rosa Gallery brushes, which I use for gouache. They're a bit springier than most of my watercolour brushes, but not ridiculously so. Green. Do we get any kind of green name, or we just get green? Green apple. That's traditional paint colour name. You have to push quite hard to get them to pop, and then they splurge all inside the cap. So yeah, that doesn't want to thread back on there. Go back on properly. Go on. Go on. I'm suspicious that this green's not going to have a lot of pigment. Yeah. And even with a softer brush, I am struggling to put down any more than a really thin layer. Although, being acrylic, we'll be able to layer these up. So that, you know, swings and roundabouts. Red, yes. I'm not going for anything fancy here. It's just red. Go on, pop. Jeez. What's this made out of? I can't... Oh, there we go. I think we've done it. Yeah. It's really hard to push down on something that you can't hold firmly, because if I hold that tube firmly, I'll squeeze it. The metal of the tube is actually really thin. I had a similar problem with the Hemi gouache earlier. You hold the jelly tubs too hard as you're trying to get your fingernail underneath the foil and peel it off, and then you splurge it everywhere, which is why my hands are... I had to scrub them earlier. Still got stains. It's a bit more pigment than the green, but it's... yeah, a bit impossible to layer it with any real thickness at all. And I'm not expecting like heavy body watercolour. What am I talking about? Heavy body acrylic out of this. Just try layering it over that blue. Yeah. But you'd think you could put it down a little bit heavier than that. The orange. It's strange that they wouldn't put in a black and a white. I don't normally like a black and a white in like a watercolour set, because you can mix your black from your other darks and you can use the white of the paper, but that's not normally how things go with acrylic painting. That's not how I used to paint with acrylic painting anyway. The tubes do come kind of pre-dented on account of the way they're rammed into the folder, so right, let's give the orange a whirl. So I normally let acrylic down with a little bit of water or a little bit of acrylic medium, but you probably don't need to with this because it's so thin. It goes on fairly smoothly and with a better brush, and these aren't expensive, these Rosa Gallery brushes. If I tried any of my actual proper acrylic brushes, they would clean it straight back off the paper. Yeah, there we go. Shall we try mixing? What shall we mix? Let's mix some yellow with some of this red and get a different orange. I don't know. You would think I would have thought of something that I wanted to paint with this, but I really didn't. It's drying so fast on this surface, whatever this paper, but it feels canvassy, plasticky. But it's drying so quickly that I'm not actually getting much of a blend with it. I'll wet it down a bit. It's a little bit better. I'm thinking a bit sunsetty because I want to go and watch another Leo Sampson Boat Company video. So I'm thinking about sunsets and islands and sea. We're going to have to squeeze some more out now because I've pretty much used all of the little drops I put out. That's not really dry enough to add some more there, is it? It's like painting with watercolour, to be honest. It's that thin. It's a bit weird. Strange jump as well from painting with gouache earlier. Right, let's get some blue down. And I would normally have some whites to lighten that up a bit, but we haven't got any, so we'll just water it down a bit more. It doesn't really like that. It's gone rather syrupy. Insipid, I think is the word I'm looking for with this. What a weird product, because it doesn't really look like it's marketed at kids. The packaging all looked quite adult, not in a rude way, just it didn't look child friendly, and I didn't see any stuff about it being washable either, which acrylic wouldn't typically be once it's dried. I was going to try and make a sky, but that's a bit difficult if I haven't got any darker blue than that in it. I'll try putting some red in it. I'll see what happens. It's probably just going to be a muddy mess. So I think the take-home lesson from this is that really dirt cheap art products are really very likely to be total crap. Really. Is that making a purple or... That's more of a mud, really. Just a bit. It's a bit... It's very hard to get it where you want it to go as well, because it's so thin. It just sort of blobs and moves around. It's, yeah. What would be nice would be to come in and put a horizon line of like mountains or something, but that might be quite difficult, because even if there was a black in this set, and there isn't, I don't think it'd be opaque. That is very... The only reason I'm getting any kind of effect there is actually the paint lifting to show the blue underneath. Let's actually do that on purpose. That's what this rubbish brush would be good for, actually, because it's that much stiffer. We can lift a bit out of it. Let's see if this is any better at adding a bit into that red. Some clouds in front of our sun. In front of our sunset. It wouldn't be this colour, but this is the only colour we have, so, you know. That's what colour they're going to be. And if you don't like it, well, hopefully you've entered the competition, which by the time this video comes out should have closed, and this set might be on its way to you, or it might be on its way into my bin. I think I've overweight the paper there, it's starting to break up a bit. Yeah. Anyway. Now then, I wanted to add some water, but again we've got the problem that we've got a very insipid cobalt blue and a very insipid leaf green. So what we're about to get here is anybody's guess. Really. I'm sticking with a stiffer brush because I think it might be making sharper edges, which I would like. I really would like to put some sort of mountains in there. We mix some green and some blue together. What do we get? We get a greeny blue version of mud. Yeah. Oh, oh dear. Oh dear, no. Oh dear me, that's not nice. Oh, that's some sort of terrible toxic waste. It's... A dreadful thing has occurred in this ocean. Algal bloom? So far the only effect I'm liking out of this is how this stiff brush actually lifts the paint back out again. There's really no way to make that blue darker unless you want purple. Which I don't really, not in the sea. Purple seas are not, they're just not a thing really. What do you reckon, folks? In the bin or in the giveaway box? Because if it doesn't go in the current giveaway box, it goes in the next giveaway box. Does one of my poor Artlings deserve to receive this pile of poo? Yeah. Was I going to give this a go on some other paper? I don't know whether I want to sully some other paper. Oh, we're going to try that acrylic, that mixed media paper. Let's do that before I launch this at the wheelie bin. And I'll see if this mixed media paper is any good for anything else as well. So we'll not soil all of the whole sheet. We've still got some yellow, so let's whack that on there. are still using the really stiff brush. That looks a little bit better on there. I'm wondering if part of the problem is that the paper it comes with almost feels a bit plasticky. So maybe it isn't just paper, maybe it does have a treated surface. I just find that really odd to find a canvas style paper surface in such a cheap set. Let's use the better brush. I've got my back door open, and I very much suspect that my next door neighbours think I'm talking to myself. And I'm not, as you all know. I'm talking to a Adamski Frogger, who is quite possibly my most treasured and greatest, bestest possession. Yes, mate. How adorable is he? Go on, off you hop. Go over there. He sits in the corner and observes and judges, because frogs are very judgy. We have severalty frogs. They live in a little glass box at the end of the room. On purpose, not by accident. I didn't just trap them there. They're dart frogs. And they're so judgy. Nope, that green still hasn't got any pigment in it. That's rubbish. Even Adamski Frogger says that's rubbish. That's not even as green as he is. No. We've still got some red out. Yeah. Let's just get all the wet off that brush so we're just getting pure paint. I think this falls into the category of art materials that is very likely to put people off art. That's what I reckon. It's the sort of thing that you're likely to pick up and then it just makes you feel like you can't do art. Why bother? This is so horrible, it could almost turn somebody to watching sport by choice. I mean, it might even trigger them to start buttering their sandwiches on one side of the bread only. I'm not even inspired to try and paint something with this now. It's just bad. Bad, bad, bad. Right, what have we got to hand that I can easily meddle with on this paper? I've got a Bimoji brush pen. Let's have a quick doodle. I am really starting to love these now that I have figured out more about how they really should be used. Because I have a tendency to try to make quick strokes. And you can do that. I mean, I'm doing it. Look, it's happening. But if you make quick strokes with it, you will get a slightly less solid line. This paper is really smooth, so you're getting more of a solid line. If you do it on rough paper, you'll get much more of a broken line. Do it slowly, and you will get a really nice, rich, solid line. And the more pressure you put on, the thicker that line's going to get. Because this is a proper brush on the end, and it has to flow out of the reservoir in the pen. You go too quick, it can't do that. What was it that Pete did? He was using one of these on its side. Now this is not going to be a brilliant representation because this is smooth paper and he was using a textured paper. I might have some to hand in a second, but he was using on its side so that you get much more of this broken texture, which inspired me enormously last night and really fired me up with some ideas. And I think that is something I'm definitely going to play with at some point. Possibly with this. Possibly, and if I say this in the video then that means I have to do it, possibly with a brush pen filled with a waterproof ink. And I've got several to choose from because I've got a couple of black and grey drawing inks, and I've got some Diamine Forever ink, which is permanent waterproof. So I haven't got them down at the minute, but I think I might come back and revisit that idea I'll have a look at the back of this sheet in a minute and see if this is bled through, because I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I have no idea what this is. I think it might be a rock. Never know, could turn out to be a badger for all I know. Yeah, it's quite nice smooth paper. I don't think it's making the pen feather. I have to look at things like this closely over the top of my specs to see now. I need bifocals. I don't want bifocals, they're complicated. They'll confuse me and I'll fall over my own feet. And I don't stand up a lot often as it is. I really don't need to be falling over my feet when I do. I think it'd be entertaining to make these into eyeballs. Yeah. Okay, what else have we got to hand that we can throw at this paper? I don't think these will work. I think this is not going to work. These are Conte à Paris hard pastels. And they are really for sketching with. Yeah, I mean they work, but because the paper is very smooth, they wouldn't stay on the paper. But if you want a quick gestural study of stuff, they'll do that. I don't know why I'm drawing a horse in red, but I am, so this is what happens when I'm left to ramble along without a plan or a plot or a clue. Anyway, can I layer more than one colour? I do like this. I have to admit I did buy this because it's pretty, because you've got these little drawers and there's a drawer on 3 sides, and it was probably horribly expensive. I don't want that drawer. Let's have the last drawer. Yes. Oh, where's the other half of that gone? I've obviously snapped that in half and put it somewhere. I really must buy some charcoal and have a play with charcoal. The thing is, it's very dusty, as I say. We've got fans going all around the house at the minute, and too much dust around is not great. I don't know where I put this horse's ears over here. Least anatomically correct horse ever. Can we blend on this paper? Yeah, a bit really. Yeah. So I'm throwing stuff at it and it's not falling apart. Let's wang a bit of watercolour at it, since I have watercolour. I suspect it will fall apart. I've only got dirty water, apologies. This would be better with cleaner water, but yeah. You work with what you've got. Right, let's wet it and see how quickly it buckles and starts to... Yeah, it's already starting a bit fluffy. It's not happy. It's really not happy. I'm getting bits off it now. I'm wearing a hole in it. I should stop. Okay, I'm stopping. That's cruel. I don't like being cruel to paper, even if it's a bit rubbish. It withstood that better than I expected. What else have we got to hand? Ooh, I did have a couple of acrylic markers that I'd lobbed in there. Oh, avalanche. They are, of course, the stupid colours that won't show up well. But, hang on. I should probably shake that first. Yeah, these like it. And again, I don't know how wet you can get this paper before it starts to object. I don't really need to try the other one. It's pretty much damn near the same colour. I've just put my hand in that wet bit. Jelly roll pen. Jelly roll, jelly roll, jelly roll. Let's see if I can go over that horrible acrylic. First of all, we'll go over it with this one. Yes, we can. Has it left anything on the nib? Doesn't seem to have. Let's have a reach scrub at it. Yeah, the paper's starting to disintegrate. And the paint has lifted a tiny bit, which probably won't show up on camera. So yeah, dry mixed media, not wet mixed media. Can we go over the top of that cruddy paint with fine liner? I'm putting my hand in the wet bit again. We can. It is providing more texture versus just the paper. Excuse me, I've got hiccups now. I had Chinese for my tea. I don't know if I can't really see on these nibs if it's picking up stuff, but it does feel more textured. But, I mean, it works. So, I wouldn't think we have any problem with this over the top of it. No. This goes over the top of pretty much anything. I don't know exactly what ink is in it, but I expect it's a waterproof India ink sort of thing. I think I'm out of ideas. I don't know what else to try sticking on top of it, really. I don't know that I'd use gouache on it. Let's see how thick it actually. Shall we see if it's bled through? It does feel, if that's one sheet, it is quite thick. So I'm surprised that it's starting to fuzzy up, and it is. If I rub that now, can you see how that's just damp still slightly? I'll leave that one to dry. We could whack a bit of gouache on it. I still haven't got my squirty bottle because it's gone on the floor, so I'm not going to use those because they need a squirt. I know what I'll use. I'll get one out of here. I still haven't done my Winsor & Newton free postcard. It's probably finished now. Not that one. That's white. That would be a silly colour to choose. Which one shall we choose? Come here. Come here. Come here. Turquoise. I do like turquoise. I can't undo the... Ow! I actually can't Ow, there we go. Oh, that really hurt. Winsor & Newton, these lids are evil. That's really painful. Look, it's damaged my poor little fingers. My tiny delicate paws. Sticking my bottom lip out. Not that you can tell. Let's try and clean off some of that, shall we? Because that's gone a bit sticky, that has. Let's just crack on there. Let's pop the lid back on. That needs a bit of a clean out, that does. That's mucky. It really does. I need a bit of tissue paper. Where's my tissue paper? Alright. Right. Crisis averted. So this is nice and very opaque, look at that, but that would be because it's Winsor & Newton Designer's Gouache, so. And that there is probably about £5 worth that I've just put all over the page. But again, I think if we wet this up, we're gonna... Oh, some slightly unpleasant resistance from the paper there. You probably could get away with gouache on this as long as you weren't doing really wet, really translucent watercolory washes. And as long as it was drying fast. Because it's quite heavy. It is starting to buckle a little bit under the... where I've put that. But if you taped it down, I wouldn't want to bank on tape coming off this nicely. But yeah, you probably could, if you were using quite thick layers, quite dry, then I think you could. And it would probably feel quite nice to use gouache with it because it's smooth, and I do quite like a smooth surface with gouache. Right, I think think that's all I can come up with on this. So I think this is a bit of a dead loss. This isn't too bad. You could do quite a lot with this pad. How much was the pad? Do we know? Yes, we do. $3.99. This is Art Studio, same as the acrylic set of Doom. I will clean that later. I will, I promise. I won't leave it to dry and do a dirty and horrible. I'm not even going to paint you a pretty picture with this stuff and show it later, because it's rubbish. I'm going to go away and do something else, I think. Yeah. Like I said, I haven't even got any rants, because I had all my rants in the video I filmed earlier, so I've run out of rants. As far as this set goes, where did I put the folder? I think the folder is probably the best bit, really. I wouldn't want to carry tubes of paint around elasticated into something where you could squash them. It does feel fairly well made. I mean, it's a piece of cardboard that's covered in some fake, plasticky fake leather, but yeah, you could probably buy better down the market. Just buy a cheap handbag and put your art material in it. I'm a bit over travel sets. I think there are some nice innovative little palettes. I have seen a few. Various people make them. There we go, that's what I'm looking for. But I think you're better off buying a travel palette and filling it with your own stuff and kind of devising your own travel kit, because what suits one person is highly unlikely to suit the next. Ow, that is really sharp. Corner of them tubes is sharp too. Can you do anything else with that paper before I completely wander off? Let's have another sheet of this. It feels like paper on the back and it feels like plastic on the front. I want to tear it and see what happens. Nope, tears like paper. I can't decide if the surface is treated with something. It does split as if it is, or if it is just textured, like embossed, because that feels kind of, it does feel very similar to canvas that's been gessoed. Since I've got some watercolour wet, does watercolour like it, or does it behave a bit like Yupo or something? Don't know. I really don't know, and the kit doesn't really come with any useful information. Really. There is what there is. What you can see is what you get. So that's weird. It does feel like it might have some sort of plastic coating. Where did I put those Contes? I wonder what they'll do on it. Let's have the red one out again. I think these will just wipe off. That's plasticky. They seem to stick quite well initially because it's textured, but I think I'm going to dip that in water, see if I can just wash it off. Oh, not quite. No, it starts to shred if you get water on it. I think it might just be embossed, because yeah, when you get rub at it, it crumbles off and shreds. So I don't know if you can put pen on it. Oh, is that feathering? Hang on a minute, I need to lower the spectacles again and examine it closely. I don't know, I can't quite tell. It skips a bit because of the texture. Where's the brush gone? Let's see if the brush highlights that texture. I don't know why I feel like you need to get your money's worth out of this video, because you haven't paid to watch it. That highlights the texture a bit, I think. That might be interesting, to be fair. Getting some pen to highlight the texture and then just really simple washes of colour over it. I'll chuck it into the... I'll chuck the paper in. I'll chuck the whole thing into the giveaway box, and if somebody wants it, they can have it. And if they don't want it, they can chuck it in their own bin. I don't know. Hopefully my order of some oil pastels will have arrived in time for the next video. Because if it hasn't, it won't be about oil pastels. It'll be about something else. But I think I have found who makes Meaden's Square oil pastels. And I have ordered some. So we'll see how that goes. I could be entirely wrong. I'm sure somebody will come along and tell me that I'm wrong, because it's the internet. Everybody likes to come and tell me that I'm wrong. I like telling people that they're wrong on the internet. I mean, who doesn't? That's what the internet's for. Have a lovely week. Go and make some art. You know, encourage somebody else to make some art. We could have a whole movement here if you wanted. I'm going to shuffle off now. Toodaloo. Bye-bye.